Welcome back. My name is Jordy, and this is how I got into grad school with a 2.0 GPA. Look, it was a rough time in my life, okay? It was rough. But now we're back, and I'm in grad school, and I feel like I can take over the world. My name is Jordy. I'm a Latina woman exploring herself throughout this YouTube channel. We talk about culture, studies, lifestyle. But for today's video, we are going to talk about what I did to get into grad school with a 2.0 GPA. Before you judge me, what does your GPA look like? I think that I live in a area where education wasn't really as valued because we kind of live in a city where there's not much opportunity. And you'd think that that would give us kind of like a little oomph to get better or get out of the hood. I think because of the way that we thought about our education, we didn't actually think that we would go that far. And honestly, the youth for the Latino population still has a lot to learn. I mean, I've seen influencers go viral that don't really provide as much good light to the Latino community, and it's very unfortunate. But I also kind of understand where that youth is coming from because I was that youth. I was that at risk youth. So, a reason why I had a very low GPA was because I wasn't taking school seriously, but I was also a first gen Latina to go to a 4 year school program. And so I was never actually taught how to handle work at school and find a balance over everything. And uh, I also didn't know the process of applications. I didn't know the process of getting to college, financial aid. And in the first year, they do help you out a little bit with your advisors, but most of the advisors that I had wouldn't really care. And I got this one mean lady, and I would ask her, like, because what do you think? Like, I don't think that I want to take these classes, but I don't think they would go with my degree. And she's like, that's fine. Or I got her a second time and I did not want to go with her. I go to her and I tell her, you know what? I think I want to change my major because I don't think that nursing is for me. And she would just tell me, okay, well, first register and then later you can go and change your major. Well, what do you want to major in? And I was like, oh, probably something in neurology or neuroscience or cognitive sciences. And then she said, well, we don't have that here. So what classes do you want right now? Instead of telling me, well, if you're thinking about doing that, you have to do a little bit more research and see what schools offer that. I could have done that, but it was also my fault because I didn't tell her, okay, stop, don't register me for classes, let me figure it out and I'll do that. But of course, like I said, I was never actually taught, and also I went through a lot of poverty, so I didn't have the means to actually move out, and I also didn't have any basic life skills that would help me move out and survive. And I know that we already have so many first gen Latinas here, but uh not everybody goes to school. I wasn't really pursuing something that I knew I wanted. I would just kind of miss class. I wouldn't do my work. I would do the bare minimum. And then we had this lady who would tell us, these get degrees. So all throughout school, I was like, these get degrees, guys. Am I right? I also fell into drugs and all of that. But we need that awareness and that exposure that the youth and college students are not protected from these influences. Every generation has its addictions, its trends. I mean, I know vaping is a huge thing right now. And that was pretty much why my GPA ended up going horribly low. By the time I wanted to go back to school and finish my degree, I had to work extra hard. But this time it was different. I went through recovery with mental health and all of that, and it helped me get back into better habits, better study habits, especially. And I took some time to kind of understand myself too. So it's good to kind of take some time off, especially if you don't know what you want to do with your degree as a Latina or Latino in your community. Take some time to figure that out, because if you can't afford school, you're going to get into debt. So before you decide to get into debt, get into a degree that you know you're going to earn well and you know you're gonna slightly enjoy, because the reality is that every degree has its pros and cons. Every job has its pros and cons. But I personally enjoy and love what I'm doing in my degree, so thankfully I was blessed. Okay, so what did I do to help me show the recruiters that I was worthy of a grad school education? So what I did was, during that time that I took a break from school, because I mean I dropped out. My GPA was crap. So I dropped out, and I just took some time to myself to kind of reflect, go inside, and understand myself a little bit more, and understand why I was choosing the things that I was choosing. So, um, we're gonna focus on what I did for school. What I did, this was during COVID-19 when I kind of took a little bit of a break. What I did was I started looking into volunteer work, because I was working part-time at a grocery company. So because I was working part-time, I had extra time to spend. So I decided to involve myself with a immigrant children's screening program, where I would screen children and I would ask them a bunch of questions. I did that for about a few months, maybe about 6 months. So I added it to my resume. After that, I would do a few little side gigs. I used to give English language lessons through this program. I don't even know if it's still there, but I used to work for this program. I'll look it up. I didn't really do that long. I think I was there for like a month, but I still did it just to get a kind of like a feel for it. I also started getting some certificates: basic life support for CPR. I got a certificate for Google Works that showed that I was like proficient in Google stuff, like Google Slides, PowerPoint. Oh, I also got involved like 1 year in a philosophy organization, and then 1 year in the psychology organization when I decided to finish school. So that kind of also helped a little bit more. And I was dirt poor, guys. Like I wasn't working, and I would go on and off. Like I would go work for 6 months, save up money, and then I would stop working and then live off the money I saved to get some skills. Like I was really working it because I knew my GPA was trash. After I graduated, I worked as a EMT for a good time, maybe about a year or so. And that gave me exposure to working with face-to-face patients. And so I did a little bit of that, and I decided that no, I want to focus on psychology. I want to do something with my degree, because I didn't bust my to get out of there for nothing. So I ended up looking around in my city, literally walking to every facility that I would see, and I would go in with my resume and I would tell them, "Hey, my name is Jordana. I'm just here because I wanted to see if you guys needed any volunteers to help you guys out in the clinic. I just, want to get some experience, get some exposure, maybe for a year or so, if that's okay with you." Girl, the amount of declines, and no, siempre me salí humillada. Siempre, siempre. There was times when I would just cry in my car hoping somebody would save me, because I would go and I would just get. That's okay. People are not entitled to give you opportunities, especially if you're living in a small city that runs on nepotism. I guess I understood that too because I knew my GPA was trash and I was just kind of like looking for a way in. So I also understood that. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I wouldn't hire me either. Like my self-esteem was low because I put so much um emphasis on my education, right? I was educated, I was a first grad. I kept looking around, and then eventually I got into this clinic that allowed me to do an internship there. Thank God. I did an internship for about 2.5 years, and that gave me a whole array of skills. I mean, I did case management, counseling, crisis. So find internships. Okay, if you don't want to go the certificates, if you don't want to do all of that stuff, all of these extra life skills, which I wish I wouldn't have done, but whatever, really look into internships. And if you live in a small city, just go to the fire department. Like, they need volunteers. Once I decided, okay, I have enough experience, let me put it in a resume. How did I make my resume look like I wasn't just on a whirlwind of a journey? Tailor your resume specifically in a way that's gonna give the recruiters or even an employer a story of why you did the things that you did, and that show that because you did all these things, this is where you want to be at now. So there were certain things that I didn't put on my resume. For example, I did a side gig where I was helping this older man. He was paying me very professional, okay, very professional, but he was paying me to help him with mortgage things, financial advising stuff. And I did that for about 6 months, like about 6 months. Usually, like by 6 months, I'm like, okay, like what's next? So that's a personal problem of mine, probably a character flaw. I didn't add that in my resume because it doesn't make sense. Tailor your resume, and you can find templates online and even on Microsoft Word how to tailor it in a way that can show a story and show how you have grown as a person. Depending on what graduate school you want to go to, you need to see kind of what the requirements are. I didn't have to study for a GRE exam, so if you need to do that, I'm sorry, this is not the video for you. Look at the requirements that your school needs, that your grad school needs, and then work on them one by one throughout the year. Like, you don't need to meet a deadline for anything. Like, schools are gonna have seasonal interviews every single year, so don't feel pressured. But do look into what the requirements are for the specific program that you have, because some programs may want you to have certain experience in something. For example, I wanted to apply to a Houston PhD program, but they wanted me to have a 1 year clinical experience, and I didn't have clinical experience. I only had EMT clinical experience, and they wanted more kind of like actual hospital skills. Also, look into the school that you want. Understand the history, understand, any awards they've gotten. Look at the accrediting that they have. That way, if they ask, oh, why did you choose this school to do your grad program in? You'll have a well tailored answer for them. For letters of recommendation, trust me, I asked previous professors that I had like a few conversations with. None of them answered me. None of them replied to my emails. None of them would pick up their phone. And you know what? That's okay, because people are not entitled to give us their information or their credentials or their recommendation. So, what I did was, because I did my EMT program, I got letters of recommendation from my trainers there, and then I got letters of recommendation from my managers. Now, if you don't have a job, get a letter of recommendation from a coworker, from a previous coworker. Get a letter of recommendation from your neighbor. I don't know, just get a letter, but also have an explanation. Be like, you know what? It's just been a while. I graduated in 2010 and it's 2026 and I just didn't keep up with my professors after all these years. But I do have a letter of somebody actually recommending me. And lastly, don't give up. Okay, if you really want to go to grad school, you will do anything to get into that damn school. Whether you have to do 3 more years of internship, that's what you're gonna do. Because guess what? The 3 years are gonna pass by, or whatever other requirement they want, the 3 years are gonna pass. And you're still not gonna have that. And you're still not gonna get into grad school. But if the 3 years pass and you already did what you had to do last year, then it's gonna show. So after all this, you're like,
Well, it's because I don't know, like my GPA is just too much for me, and I don't know if what I do is gonna be worth the effort.
that's okay. Sit down, really think about what you want to do with that grad degree. Going to grad school is such a huge risk, and it's such a huge risk financially, but also emotionally and mentally. It's labor, it's work. My research assignments have been 8 to 10 pages of information every other week, and it's very demanding. So, really think about why it is that you want in the first place. Is it to stroke your ego? Is not a good idea because you're going to be hurting people along the way and you're going to be putting yourself into debt. And I say this because I've heard people. I literally last time heard one of my coworkers tell me, I just want a master's degree for my ego in my face. And I'm like, well, you're able to get in, but I can't get in because of my GPA. What is going on? But yeah, think about what it's going to bring into your life, and also think about what you're going to do with that specific degree and how you would benefit from it and what you want to bring to life with it. Because like I said, grad school is not a joke, and I may not be going to Harvard, but grad schools are very demanding. Maybe it's not even a good decision for you. Maybe it's not the right choice. Because I knew that when I was very defeated about my GPA, I was like, no, I want to go into medical school and I want to be a doctor. But did I really want to be a doctor? No, I wanted the title of being a doctor. But that came with 8 plus years of medical school, of additional classes that I had to do before actually getting into a medical school, plus residency years, plus all the research that I have to do. But my big fat ego was like, no, I want to get into a medical school. Um, but ultimately, I didn't do that. I've had a very challenging time, but also eye-opening. I've gained a lot of skills, and honestly, it's another opportunity to network with people. So that's gonna be a benefit too. You're gonna get your degree. You're also gonna meet people and get to network and find community. Thank you so much for watching. This was how I got into grad school with a 2.0 GPA. We'll see you on the next one.